how I'm making sure I'm boxing out the competition. That has to iterate all the time. So even if I have the best sales reps on the planet, I need to make sure that when we pivot as a group. First big iteration you're going to see in the enterprise is going to be on the agent side. Now they're going to be even more sophisticated tasks, even taking first line support calls, doing outbound calls, making sure you're coming to your appointment.
Thank you for tuning in to another What the Future podcast. Now, in the first 4 episodes, we had 4 CEOs and founders from very promising early stage AI startups, and we learned a lot. One thing that we've learned is customer adoption is still slow, which is obviously going to impact tech sales. So it got me thinking, why is this? I started talking to a bunch of people in my network, and I was having some incredible conversations. So I was thinking, why not just transfer those conversations, but make it into a podcast and share it with others? This podcast will be a little more casual. It won't be as structured, and it'll give us the opportunity just to have a normal conversation with two people in the industry. So the first one is no stranger to the Silicon Valley, Brian O'Shea. He's an incredible sales leader, and I trust his opinion a lot. We're going to talk about everything from AI, startups, tech sales, and of course, humanity as well. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the show. We got to change the game.
What used to be, I got to go spin up a data center. I got to go buy Sun servers, Oracle software, EMC storage, or NetApp if you're a loser. Just kidding.
The Isilon and the IP4700 was so great. Turds.
I'm just joking.
It's okay. It's okay. You're an EMC.
Then it was like I could swipe a credit card and deploy some EC2 instances. Now it's like I can swipe a credit card and you build off of OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini. And it's like all I need is domain expertise, and I'm off and running. And oh, by the way, like the coding tools now, the whole vibe coding thing, you do not need to be a developer to do that. Lovable is like intuitive, so you and I could use it.
Right.
Like the cursors and augments and windsurf and poolside, those are built for developers. But Lovable is built for like you and me. And there's more and more of those tools coming. So I think going back to the like who a great sales rep is, the reason why I brought up the pace of innovation and how easy it is to spin up a new company is you're going to have 5-10 competitors pop up in a really short period of time. So how am I positioning? How am I changing my positioning? How am I making sure I'm boxing out the competition? How am I making sure I'm setting my agenda and not my competitor's agenda? That has to iterate all the time. So even if I have the best sales reps on the planet, I need to make sure that when we pivot as a group. And when we're doing A/B testing, we're doing A/B testing as a group. And like that is one thing, like any great sales organization and BEA, Oracle, EMC, NetApp, like all those legacy companies, and there's younger ones too. That Snowflake was a great sales organization.
Big time.
When they make a change, they pivot very quickly. And I remember saying when I was at Pure Storage and we were competing against EMC, a $58 billion company, there was like 60,000 employees. They would pivot like that. Like the messaging changed, the whole company's changed the messaging. Now it was a bit ridiculous. They posted on LinkedIn, but like they would pivot so quickly, and in unison they would do that. And I think it's just incredibly important that as an organization, sales, marketing, product, they need to be in sync and pivoting, and you need to be able to do that faster than ever. Like literally, it can't be like weeks down. It has to be, oh my God, I heard this, and we need to set a trap for this competitor. This needs to be part of our talk track.
Dude, I gotta tell you, just trying to create a product around Future Connect, it's been a challenge because the pace of innovation is so quick. It's mind blowing. You have an idea and you think it's got legs, and then within 6 months you see a tool or you see what ChatGPT can do.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's back to the drawing board. Where the value is moving to find that, product market fit for all of these AI startups is extremely challenging. You got to be so agile. And that's why the Silicon Valley does a great job, because you guys have a culture of accepting failure. Like failure is like a little bit of a badge of, this is how we get better. Now we know what's broken. If we can fix this, then we can get here. That is the mindset that we need, where in the Midwest, it's a more conservative. It's, well, I'll pay the $5 million, but this better work. And if this doesn't work, you're going to lose your job.
Yeah. Well, that's, there is in California and Silicon Valley in particular, there is that frontier spirit there where it's like, you're going to fail fast. You've heard 1,000 different cliches, break fast, or move fast and break things, fail fast. I'm a big believer in that for a variety of reasons. I mean, like in the most, some of the most conservative industries in the world, you're starting to see that seep in, and thankfully, because of Elon, you're starting to see it in the most conservative industries. But like, when you first heard about SpaceX, weren't you like, how ridiculous is that? And now it's like, yes. Oh my God, it's a game changer, and another platform, by the way. Space being a platform, I just think it's completely game changing when you see that, and you're starting to see this in broader aeronautics. Like the car didn't fundamentally change until like 2012. For a really long time, you didn't see any evolution in the car. It was a very slow evolution. Then Tesla came around, and there's forget about the electric part. The technology in the car has evolved so much since Tesla came around. And I do think there's huge value to that model of, let's run a bunch of experiments and we'll fail fast. And by the way, like, that's why China is doing so well. Each one of those mayors is competing with each other. And so they're running all these different experiments. It's the equivalent of us, if every one of our governors felt like they were competing to be the next president, and so or the next vice president, and they were running experiments not for political party gain, but for their own benefit. Like if they were doing that, they'd run more experiments. And that's why we're seeing just incredible advancements in China.
Yeah. Man, we've already gone all around. We haven't even done an introduction for you, but this is great, because part of the thing I want to do, I learned I learned a lesson after I did my first 4 podcasts, which was, and they're great companies, but what I learned was there is still such a big gap from where the technology is, what the capabilities are, where these startups are, the ideas that they have, the problems that they're solving. But I'm not seeing those problems with most customers yet. Right now, I am seeing customers buying Cursor or Gong, some kind of an AI type of a tool, a SaaS product of some kind, right?
Yeah.
I think ultimately, like what you said about ServiceNow and Salesforce and Glean, I'm really big on Glean. I see how like now agentic AI can really impact those solutions. And I think, but the customers just aren't there yet. And then they'll get there, and then they'll start building. At some point, I do think customers will build their own LLMs,
Oh, yeah,
right now,
sure.
they just don't have the skill sets. They don't have the buy-in, the use case. Just there's so much of it. And again, none of it is their fault, right?
I think by the time the average enterprise gets to the point where they realize, like, okay, we have got to fine tune this with our data. That process is going to be so refined that it's not going to be a massive engagement. There's a number of companies, including my former company, that helps with that right now. But there will be a point in time in the very near future where you don't need an overly technical staff to do that.
Right.
I think it's still a fairly deep technical endeavor today. But you do see agent-specific companies having great success right now, selling into a lot of legacy companies, including, we mentioned healthcare, airlines. rental car companies, like very legacy type businesses, and have you kind of dimensional returns, like 60-70% efficiencies being delivered. And
Wow.
I think that's when you'll start to see broader adoption. But I do think we're not super creative in the deployments today, right? Like, okay, we can reduce our reliance on our existing customer support team. Okay, we can, like do the transcription work. I think there's areas, and I'm not smart enough or creative enough to figure those out. But those, 25-year-old salespeople you were crapping on earlier, they'll figure out that.
No, I was not, by the way. I will tell you, I work with a couple of these 25-year-olds, and they are amazing. I really want to help them. And to that point, you and I have had people that have helped us in their careers. There's been so many in our careers. There's been people that have introduced us to somebody or coached us on something or helped us in a project or a proposal, whatever it might be. There was an assistance and there's a support group there.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for the younger generation is like build your relationships, build your network. You're 24, 25, 26. You're going to be working until too long. Trust me. If you want to have a good career, right? Success, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you, yeah, you can just focus on that. But if you focus on relationships and building trust with people, building your network, building your brand of the kind of human being that you are, I think that's going to take you further. But again, the younger generation has been, big time. Big time. I mean, like look at this whole situation with you and me. Every time I come into the Valley, I got to meet with you. Why? Yeah. Because of the relationship, the trust. Even in this conversation, we don't agree on everything, but that doesn't matter. In fact, that gets me even more excited because that just means I have more opportunities to challenge myself and potentially learn something. And how many times have I changed my opinion? Many, many times. I wish the 20-year-olds can bring that curiosity to work and just get out there, make yourself vulnerable. But they need some people to guide them and help them. And it can't be, how many meetings did you have today? How many calls did you make? I think we're focused on the wrong metrics. And I understand the whole metrics thing. I'm all about the sales donuts. At the end of the day, if you're in sales, you got to perform. Period. And in a sales culture, it's not going to be a comfortable culture. This is not going to be a place where everybody's always happy and feels, very grateful for what they have and everything else, even though that they should. It's a hard gig and the numbers matter. But I think the human side of it needs to also be considered. One of the things I've been wanting to ask you, I have seen a few trends around this, and I'm not blaming you, but you are a sales leader your entire career, so you probably have. Yep. There's some culpability here, I think. And look, I'm sticking up for the other salespeople. Okay, good. I am there. Someone needs to. Yeah, they need it. We need it. I need it. Why has why have goals have gotten so high? Why is it that tech companies have sales teams that have less than 10, 15% of their account teams making their numbers? What do you think has attributed to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to address those organizations one by one. I think a model that most organizations, like a well-run organization, is still trying to target 65 to 85% attainment, right? So meaning 65 to 85% of your team should be at or above plan. And if you're doing that, you probably have product market fit. You probably have a good enablement organization. You probably have a good,
and you probably have good people. You probably have good salespeople if they're able to do that.
Yeah. And by the way, if 100% of people are at plan, and you have hundreds or thousands of people, that the quotas were way too low.
Yeah, exactly.
not everyone deserves it.
But that doesn't happen. That does not happen. Quotas are never too low.
I do think, having set quotas at startups, it's really difficult. Not very long ago, I came into one company and I set goals thinking everyone's going to crush it. I rolled them out to the sales reps, had one-on-ones with each rep. There's like 12 reps at the time. Every single rep said, I know I crushed that plan. And 2 reps made their number. 2 out of 12. Terrible. And so I for sure took some ownership, but it's really hard in an early stage company. The next company, we changed the goal, scaled the team. I thought the goals were pretty aggressive, and then everyone was smoking the number. And with 2 exceptions, but most people were smoking the number. Now, great product market fit early in the company. The company was scaling like crazy. That's going to happen. As long as, early on, it's really difficult. And then when there's a big event, obviously, if I scaled the team from 3 teams, A's and SCs, to 15 teams into the pandemic, February of 2020, I went from 3 teams to 20 teams, or 15 teams rather. Those people were not going to make their number, right? We're selling a data center first solution. So it is tough trying to thread the needle when you're trying to hit kind of the 65 to 85% metric. I do think most organizations have the right intentions. But yes, there is probably way too much of a focus on how do we make sure we're getting the right cost per quota bearing head? How do we make sure we're getting the greatest efficiencies out of the team? And instead of doubling down on the enablement, people are like, okay, we got to raise quotas.
Yeah.
So there are things you can do to make sure that your team is sharing in the abundance, if you will.
Yeah. But you also hit on another piece, right? We have this huge tech ecosystem. We got distribution, we got consultants, we got service providers, we got resellers, we got OEMs, software providers, hyperscalers. It's a very big market. And being a salesperson in each of those is quite different, depending on where you're at. Now, I've spent, I was 4 years at NetApp, but then, 23 years now on the reseller side. So that's what I know. But what's interesting about you is you have stayed on the vendor OEM side, and you've always seemed to pick, not always, but you've done a really good job of picking winners and finding that next new great company. And maybe I could be super wrong on this, but I really feel like it is so hard now to find that next great company. I think there's less and less of them. I attribute that a little bit to, you need something to inject the market. When flash storage came out, silly example, but look at what happened. Everybody transformed everyone. Cloud took a long time, but then look at how much is happening in cloud. Security is, now the number one biggest threat to civilization. Took a little while, but then it got there. So what is that next? It is AI, but we're so early on it. So what would you say to a salesperson that is looking to potentially get into AI sales because of the buzz and the hype and the, blah, blah, blah? I hope you can bring some levelty to that.
Yeah. So here's the way I think about it. Number one, I'm not smart enough to know who's going to leapfrog who in the model world. And nor does anyone else, because in December of last year, DeepSeek came out of nowhere and just had the best reasoning model in the world. Was the best reasoning model in the world. It was open source from a hedge fund, basically, in China.
Yeah,
and
in
so,
China.
And oh, by the way, virtually all of the open source models, depending on which category you're talking about, are led by Chinese open source models. So we just don't have that visibility. And I don't pretend to be smart enough to even know where OpenAI versus Anthropic versus Gemini is on the closed source side either. What I do know is, there's going to be areas where people are really successful. There will be infrastructure winners, and I liken that to the picks and shovel people. So if you're going to move west during the gold rush, you could either squat in a river with a pan or sell them picks and shovels. And I would rather sell the picks and shovels than squat in a river, because you may get a big hunk of gold, or you may just end up with a bad back and wet feet. And so I think the infrastructure play is pretty safe. And obviously NVIDIA is the ultimate infrastructure play in cleaning up. And I think there's going to be plenty of winners in just the GPU space period. But the other part is like, how are you going to make sure that people are deploying those? The first big iteration you're going to see in the enterprise is going to be on the agent side. I had a joke with one of my former coworkers, was like, what's an agent, right? Like, people would be like, oh, there's going to be agents everywhere. Okay, give me an example. And people would be like, a voice agent for your support. Yeah, that's all they would come up with.
Yeah.
There's going to be, exactly. There's going to be all sorts of agents deployed doing menial tasks. Like UiPath was on the frontier of that, but now they're going to be even more sophisticated tasks, even taking first line support calls, doing outbound calls, making sure you're coming to your appointment. Like, I got a call yesterday about a doctor's appointment, making sure you're aware, like, that was a person. Like, why is that still a person? That doesn't even be a person.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of that change is coming, and it's coming to the enterprise, and we'll see that this year and next year. And so what do you care about? You care about, like, is the bot going to go completely AWOL? So you need some level of guardrails, making sure it's going to stay within its bounds. You want to make sure that people can't do what they're not supposed to do with that. And you also want to make sure it's not a threat vector. So I think security is going to evolve incredibly quickly. And, we're starting to see that already. I've talked to a lot of those companies.
Big time.
So I think there's a lot coming down the pipeline within the next, call it 24, 26, 28 months, where you're going to be like, okay, we're starting to see this seep into whether you're an insurance company, you're a tech company, a healthcare company, an airline, you're going to see agents deploy. Yeah. Like, the whole reason I'm in the US is my dad was here to deploy a phone tree for IBM. IBM was doing a phone tree for AT&T. I think that phone tree is still being used at AT&T, right? And that was freaking 50 years ago. And like, there's no reason to ever have a phone tree ever again. Yeah. So I think you'll start to see it very broadly deployed in a variety of different use cases. And I think that the number of use cases will expand pretty broadly. Now, how do you find the right company? Shit, man, it's so hard. The way I look at it, and it's never been harder because there's so many choices, because like we talked about earlier, the barrier to start a company is so low, and the abundance of investments in these companies has never been so high. So there's, name a space, and I'll tell you, like 7 to 10 competitors. So I always look at it like, what does the leadership team look like? What is the quality of the investment? Not just like, how much money do they have? Where do they get it from? What's the track record of the people? Like, overall, who's involved in the company? Is the space somewhere where I can add value to? Like, can I make a big impact day one?
Right.
And, the most important thing for me, and I know right away, like, I knew the first time I got the Pure Storage pitch, I knew. The first time I got the Base 10 pitch, I knew. The first time I got the Veza pitch, I knew. Can I sell the shit out of this? And so if I can sell the shit out of it, I know I can teach other people how to sell the shit out of it too.
Yeah.
And so if you can have that conviction as a seller, I can sell the shit out of this. The people are great. The money is good quality. You've got a way better chance than all the other companies out there to be successful.
And it's such a better way to sell. Like, I always sell what I'm comfortable with, that I can say this is a good decision for my client.
Yeah.
Where and being a reseller, we have that opportunity, if we play our game right, that we can actually be an advisor to, a trusted advisor to our clients.
You're just a
But
customer
part of what
advocate at
I'm
that
seeing.
point.
Yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely. And I love doing that. But what I am seeing is people are getting desperate, man, for sales, right? And it's like they'll say anything and everything, and it's like, and I'm thinking, I'm asking the salesperson, hey, I saw the pitch, I heard how the meeting went. What's like the financial benefit for them, and why would they invest in this if they're gonna need to, basically hire a different person with the skill set that they don't even have? And the answers are so bad. Oh, let me get my engineer.
Oh God.
Let's set up a meeting.
Your engineer
No.
should be the one
No,
driving
let's
the
not.
business value.
Yeah, exactly. So like, no. So this is where like the sales world has changed so bad. Since you told me that we don't have to prepare for this podcast, I'm gonna hit you with some tougher questions. I just want to see how you answer them. And I know some of these are really tough.
By the way, when are we starting the podcast?
It's already started.
I know, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I figured that about like 30 minutes into it.
I'm trying to go for that Joe Rogan thing where it's just
smooth transition.
Just get in,
Let's do it. I like it.
At this point, everyone already knows you, O'Shea. You're a baller, fucking Silicon Valley. I get it.
Hit me with the hard questions. I got to
right.
hear what these are. You got me a little.
Yeah.
You got my palms sweating here.
All right, I'm gonna start slow, then I'm gonna end a little more aggressive, and these gonna be like quicker answers. AI bubble, are we in one? Why in the hell are people talking about it?
Yeah, there's definitely an AI bubble, and so I think so. As a country, we go from guardrail to guardrail. I have like never more obvious than in the last 5 years, 6 years, 9 months. We just go guardrail to guardrail. California goes faster, and Silicon Valley is the ultimate. It's an acid pinball machine, and so everyone follows everyone else. Everyone's piling money into these companies, and so it's just there's so much FOMO that it's like if this looks good, I got to jump into that. Right? I missed Cursor. I got to get into Augment. I missed like so it's you're going to have so much of this. As a result, you get, and this is not a new phenomenon, right? Like if you look at the networking in 99, you had Yago and Cisco and like all these companies. If you look in the search engines of like early 2000 up until 2005, I mean, you still had Ask Jeeves, you had Bing, you had all these different search engines. So it normally coalesces into one or two big winners. But yeah, I think it's just what happens is you're going to have this bubble. You're going to have these 10 companies, and these 10 companies are going to go away, and there's going to be 2 left.
Right.
Now the overall spend of those 2 might dwarf the spend of those 10. So the bubble popped in 2001, and we were left with eBay and Amazon and like a bunch of incredible companies that are absolute juggernauts. And so that, just because a bubble pops does not mean the broader ecosystem is impacted. I don't think you're going to feel it in Chicago. I think a lot of my brothers and sisters in south of Market Street, San Francisco, are going to feel it, but they'll probably just go across the street to Anthropic.
Yeah. The way I see it is we should be grateful and thankful. Again, America, best country in the world. I know we got a lot of issues, but best country in the world. Look at how much money we've been able to invest into technology over the last 3-4 decades. You get all this money. Yes, there's winners and losers and 90% of startups fail. I get it. But look at the system that we have. The fact that we're able to raise that much money to go to people and say, hey, I think you're really smart, and I think you can create something. And even if you don't completely accomplish everything that you're talking about, there's going to be some good out of what you're doing.
100%. It is the great, I mean, the pace of innovation is only getting faster.
Yeah.
And our ability, like that is the thing. Someone told me a long time ago why Silicon Valley was so vibrant for new companies. Well, there's legal benefits here, right? It's much easier to go start a company to go leave EMC and join Pure Storage as an example.
Yeah.
There's incredible talent like everywhere, and just even leaving, San Jose State has great electrical engineering, Berkeley, Stanford, like there's great universities around here, and then all these people moving in, and like I joke with my buddies that have moved away from the Bay Area, and all races and backgrounds, and they're like, you just don't know how much of a melting pot the Bay Area is when you go to Tuscaloosa, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's like two races here. There's like there's so much talent coalesced here that's an incredible value proposition, but there's also an extraordinary access to capital. Like if you've got a great idea, you can go to Page Mill or Sandhill and you can get someone to stroke you a check today.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think part of what you're saying too, bro, is we can't shit on these startups for coming to market but not being able to, ultimately fulfill what they were trying to do. We need, in my opinion, I think we need to keep encouraging that entrepreneurial spirit. And we need more people to become entrepreneurs. And honestly, I got kids. I preach to them, hey, my oldest daughter wants to be a doctor. I don't know about that, baby. You might want to rethink that. In case you haven't noticed, this AI thing is going to be something.
I think being a doctor that understands how to prompt and understands how to leverage AI is going to be a 10x doctor, and the world will need a 10x doctor 5, 10, 15, 50 years from now.
Exactly. And the part of that equation that changes too? Look at all these other Indian doctors, right? So many people went into medicine just because culturally it was like you kind of had to, right? Like, parents are pushing you that way. I didn't become a doctor, and the world is a better place because of that. But before, I would always wonder, are you becoming a doctor because you truly want to help people? When your patient comes in, what do you see? Do you see a human being and someone that you want to service and support and actually help them with their health and, have some interest in it? Or is this, how quickly can I get this patient in, go through everything, check. Okay, boom, you're out. See you later. Get to the next one. I think what's hopefully, to your point, I hope if we can operationalize some of that we can get more human to human like support,
Yeah.
That would be great. And I think we need more doctors. We got too many people going into tech. Everybody's going. That's the other thing that's happening for salespeople. Before they were competing with, no offense, I'm one of them. Actually, I had an MIS degree, but I was a horrible coder and no one should have hired me and they didn't. And that's good. But, what was the point I was making?
No.
I just lost my train of thought.
Going into become a doctor, going to become an engineer.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. Before you had all these people that wanted to get into healthcare, and that's where, we thought the money and everything was prestige and all that kind of stuff. Now what salespeople are seeing is, yeah, we had people that are managing, majored in communications or finance or, marketing or something like that. And they end up in sales.
Yeah.
Now it's a different ballgame. Now you have a different caliber of an education system that has brought these people into the sales force, into tech, which they maybe 15, 20 years ago, they wouldn't have gone this route. They would have done something else.
Yeah.
But now it's, if you don't go STEM, like that's probably, you are compromising some income potential and opportunities and everything else, you know?
Yeah, I think everyone needs a touch of STEM in their education for sure. I do think the real value that you're going to see because of AI is you can have this incredible domain expertise. And if you understand how to leverage AI and that domain expertise, then you can go build a great differentiated solution.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, there's been a major shift. I don't think that shift is anywhere close to being over. I'm a techno optimist, but it is unsettling when you see how much change is taking place.
Yeah. All right. So that was the AI, you and I AI bubble. I agree with you. I don't think this is a bad thing at all. Like, this
bubbles aren't necessarily that bad, right? Like, bubbles always happen when the next big thing comes. You know, I fortunately was not exposed to the Segway bubble.
Right. And dude, these things are hard to predict and everything else, but at the same time, we put so much pressure on being right all the time. Yeah. And it's just not a realistic expectation. So we're both on the same page there. And that's why I also don't understand why people are even talking about the AI bubble. It's like, to me, it's so obvious. I'm done with that conversation.
And I don't know why people feel threatened by it. I think they just think bubbles pop, and then you know, they think 2008 housing crisis. There's always bubbles, you know, like, and I think it's inevitably, like, there was going to be an AI bubble. There will be another AI bubble. I don't know how quickly the next bubble will be. It'll probably be right on the heels of this one.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Great point. So part of that bubble, expectations go high, right? And then what is the real value? The trough of disillusionment. I still think we're in the hype part of the hype cycle. What do you make of the 11,000 employees from Accenture that were let go, and the Julie Sweet, I think, is their CEO? She made it pretty clear that they have a new strategy now that they're going to be implementing at Accenture. And if you're not upskilling yourself with AI and you are not becoming an AI expert, she didn't say it this way, but kind of, we don't need you. Like, your value is really not needed. What do you make of that?
I think if you were reticent to use email in 1990, or the Microsoft suite in 1990, maybe you're okay. By 2000, you're out of a job. Yeah. And so I think it's just a natural progression of things. You could be the best stagecoach driver in the world. You just don't have a freaking job today except around Christmas. You know, like, you can go work at Central Park for a few months out of the year, but beyond that, like, the stagecoach business, the blacksmith business, it's not that relevant anymore. Right. So you've got to adapt to the times and adapt to the tools of the times. And AI is that. You mentioned earlier, like, Disty, and like, there's going to be a flattening of a lot of industries. I look at the big consulting companies, and I think they're going to have to adapt faster than anyone. You know, they're expensive, they're bloated, and you know, I met with most of them in my last job, and I was like, wow, they are way behind on the AI side of things.
Yeah. My initial view was like, oh, wow, I'm kind of surprised that the CEO of Accenture is taking this kind of position. However, what I think is going to happen as a result of this is, think about if you're a competitor to Accenture, if you're McKinsey, if you're Deloitte, if you're KPMG. Now, what's your response? Because what Accenture is basically telling their customers is, hey, you want to work with AI and figure this thing out? Work with us, because that's where we're going. We're 100% on the AI train. So it almost makes it a requirement for
It's a forcing function for everyone else.
And even if it's not like practically the right thing to do, you have to have this aesthetics of it, like the sales part of it. If you are those big five, you got to be able to say, this is what we're doing with AI, and and these are the investments we're making. We're bringing our costs down here so we can invest more here. These are the things that are going to happen. Some of it is like a fugazi to me, because again, like how much demand is there right now for AI?
There's demand for the value. There was before, like, demand for the box being checked. Now there's demand for driving value. But yeah, you got to pick the right people that you think are going to drive value. And clearly Accenture realizes the vast majority of people in the organization are not capable of driving that value. And good on them for having that recognition now versus later.
Yeah. I'm super excited. The company I'm working for, we just acquired another AI company. I think it's like our third or fourth AI company, and that's where we're going to, is all AI. Like, we're all in on AI, and it's so exciting. That's why I love being a reseller, because I get to be in the field with customers, with partners. I really get a chance to have a sense of what's actually happening, because that data in the field, bro, is the best data. That is the data you want.
Yeah, that is. I mean, we talk a lot in kind of the sales leadership world, and really product world, about, like, what is your feedback? How are you getting that signal? Well, the real signal you get is from the customer, right? Like, are they willing to make that investment, and why are they willing to make that investment?
Yeah. All right, so I got another one for you. This is a little bit trickier. 5 years from now, unemployment rate, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 15 to 20, over 20%. 5 years from now.
I think it will get bad, and then it will get better. I do think there will be, we can get back to a 3 to 5% unemployment rate in the next 15 years. But I would say, if you give me an over under 5%, I would definitely say over in 5 years. Okay. I don't think we're going to get to 20%. But I think, having seen a few of these things, it typically drives more opportunity, but mass disruption. You're probably not feeling that if you're one of the people laid off from Accenture, but those people are typically pretty impressive people to begin with. They'll be fine. If you're listening to this at working and you've been impacted, reach out to me. I'll help you. But I think, generally speaking, there will be an impact. It won't be a trivial impact, and it won't be super short-lived. But I think, in the long run, AI will be a benefit for employment.
Yeah. It's just part of the cycle.
It is.
We just got to embrace it. Yeah. What's interesting to me, and the reason why we're doing a little pivot at Future Connect, is people like you and I, well, Silicon Valley is a whole different beast, but let's just look at the... Yeah. But that's why I love it. I'm passionate about it. Like, I love change. I like new tech. But how many people, let's just say the US, we can say the whole world, doesn't matter. It's still the same thing. How many people are doing their day jobs, but then spending the time to learn about AI as well? Right? That's I think very, very few.
I think a lot of people are doing that. I actually, a lot of people that I've talked to are doing it out of curiosity more than anything else.
Yeah, but that's in the valley. That's in the valley. Or if they're in tech. Okay, so let's just take, for example, a doctor or an attorney or a teacher or whomever, right? They have their day jobs. They still have to perform 40, 50 hours of work. Now, it's going to be the nerds like you and I. Like, this whole weekend, I've been fidgeting with AI tools just to see how they work and what breaks and when it starts to hallucinate and da-da-da. It's just, it's my way of learning about it. I just don't see a lot of people going that way. And that's actually one of the things that I'm trying to promote is like, how do we help those people? Like, how do we cut through all this noise and all this crap and this tool and that tool? And how do they know which tool? I mean, you just said multiple times today, tell me one AI startup and I'll tell you 10 competitors, right? So how does the average person then make a decision on which tool that they're going to use? And then how do they actually learn it? Give me the cliff notes of it.
Well, it's typically first mover advantage, right? The first one they'll use is the one that they all adopt. For the most part, that's true. But yeah, then people coalesce around the better tools typically. But most people are using OpenAI, and I bet you those lawyers that you were talking about earlier, like the vast majority of them are using OpenAI. Some of them to their detriment if they're not checking the sources because hallucinations are real. But I think that people will find the tool. It's weird. I think I've told you this before, but my youngest daughter, she's 16, and I said, "Are you still using ChatGPT all the time?" She said, "Not really." And I was going to leave it at that. She said, "It sucks at math. I use Gemini for math. I use Perplexity for just like basic Q&A, and I use ChatGPT for like English type homework." I was like, "Oh shit." She's like a router. So I think people are naturally kind of finding their way. I don't think about, I got to use these tools. I just use the tools. I use Gemini a lot. I use Perplexity a lot. I use Grok a lot. But I think about like, I'm going to use it because I want to test one versus the other. But if I'm just asking a question, I'm probably just using Gemini on my browser.
Right.
And so I use OpenAI a ton. But it's not because I'm trying to be on the cutting edge. I don't use Cursor or Lovable or any of these tools.
Right.
Because they're not, right now, they're not relevant to me.
To you. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you'll find people, Google is weird to people at first. You just had that white sheet of paper with Google on it and the empty box. A lot of people didn't like that. A lot of non-tech people hated it. And it just became the way.
Yeah.
So I think people will naturally get there. And it's funny because our parents type age, I think it's a more natural adoption phase than our kids. Think about how our kids prompt Google. Like they know how to prompt Google. We didn't. There's no class at school. Right. They just knew. Right. And you can speak more naturally when you're asking Gemini a question or OpenAI a question. I think that's gonna broaden the adoption as a result.
I think it has to. I just feel that people our generation, there's a ton of people. I have so many friends and family, which I kind of want to be like, wake up, like take a class, just go on it and just start learning, like go mess with, figure it out. Ask ChatGPT how to use these AI tools and it will tell you how to use it.
Watch a 5-minute YouTube video.
Right. Just spend the time. Because what's going to happen, what I worry about is, our generation then being those people that are calling our kids and like, hey, my thing doesn't work, my AI is all messed up, and then like the kid has to come over to help us. We should know this stuff. And in this situation with what's on the line with AI and cyber and everything else, everyone should learn about AI and security. Like everybody,
it's not like setting your VCR. It's like people think it's like setting your VCR, which was terrifying and difficult. It's not like that at all.
No.
What was
you good? I was gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Sorry, I told someone I'd meet him at 4. I just looked up. Sorry. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, you knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, man, it's so good to have these conversations. Part of the reason why I'm going to start doing these kinds of podcasts or content is I often have really great conversations with people like you. And after I'm done, I'm thinking, man, that was so good. I enjoyed it. I wonder if other people would just enjoy two people just shooting the shit about what they know, you know?
Even if it's just the two of us, I enjoyed it. I looked at last time the other day, you and I were catching up, and it was like, I looked at my phone after we hung up. It was like an hour and 15 minutes. It was like, I didn't think I had attention span. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I love it. Like that is, and that's one of the things with Future Connect that's been good for me, good for my soul, is I've reconnected with so many people that just have reached out just to say, hey, what do you think about AI? Like, I heard you're doing this. Like, is this a good company or whatnot? It's like, hey, to me, it's all right. I will tell you, but first you got to have a call with me and fill me in on how have you been, what's going on in your life, you know? Like I want to keep those relationships. Yeah. For sure. I want to keep those relationships. Happy to help anybody else. But let's end with this. What is next for Brian O'Shea?
To be determined. I actually will be announcing something in the next couple of weeks, but I can't share it now. But I was resisting jumping back into the AI space, but it's just you know, when in the gold rush, you got to either pick up your shovel or your pan, and so I just couldn't miss out on this. I swore to my friends and family, I'm like, I'm not going to go do an operator job again for a couple of years, if at all. But I just couldn't resist it. So I'm super excited to jump back in. It'll be a few weeks before I can share that now.
Yeah. Hey man. I can't wait. You haven't even told me. That's all good in the hood. I'm excited that you're staying within AI selfishly for me, because I love talking to you about this stuff. And so
you can have me sell it. It's relevant to your clients for sure.
All right. Well, see, now you have to pitch it to me. We're going to debate it. We're going to, that's the fun part, right?
Yeah.
When the guys at Pure first came to me and they're like, I got one controller, no snapshots, no replication, but it dedupes and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it costs $18 a gig. Ooh,
we got there.
Don't think, yeah, you got there. So that's the fun part. Well, dude, thank you so much, Brian, for being on. You're going to become a frequent offender, brother.
Anytime.
You're dropping your knowledge is very much appreciated.
All right, brother. Great to catch up.
All right, man. You too, man.
Bye.
Later.